getting a kind of real consensus on this tomorrow?
Well, first of all, it's a very packed agenda tomorrow, and I think we'll run late, because not only has it the banking union resolution issue, but it also has the budget issues, and it has issues around the savings directive and the mandate for negotiations with Liechtenstein and Monaco and the countries outside of the European Union, where there would be issues about savings and whether tax is paid on those savings or not. On the resolution issue, we've done a lot of pre-meeting work, so I'm fairly confident that we'll have a very full discussion, 2 to 3 hours of a full political debate. But it's not a debate to arrive at precise decisions. It's a debate to move the project forward to the next stage. And I'd be hoping that we get a high level of agreement by June. But what we're doing tomorrow is having the full debate. Now, specifically in the role of presidency, I'm going to focus on the bail-in mechanism. We're used to bailouts where the state goes in and puts money in and rescues a bank. Now, the bail-in is the opposite. It's the resources within the bank itself that will have to be used. So you're separating the sovereign from the banks. And in the bail-in, following on the Cyprus experience and on our own good sense, I would like to enhance the position of depositors. So I would like to have political agreement tomorrow night that the €100,000 guaranteed deposit was sacrosanct into the future, and this would be eventually, written in stone as part of any bail-in procedure. And that secondly, we will be able to get agreement for a deposit preference above that level. Now, what that means in simple terms is that you might recall back in the days of the late Brian Linehan, there were several questions in the Dáil about senior bondholders, and the legal advice always was, and it's correct of course, that senior bondholders and unguaranteed depositors are on the one legal line, and they have to be dealt with pari passu. In other words, you can't move against senior bondholders and not move against the unguaranteed depositors. So we would like to change that in the new hierarchy of bail-in, so that the the depositors above 100,000 would go into a lower legal line. So in a hierarchy of bail-in that would start with shareholders, the last item on the agenda would be deposit holders above 100,000. So that's where the debate is, and we have been working on that. There are differences in views, but I would hope that by tomorrow evening we'll have established the hierarchy for bail-in, and that would be very significant progress. Now, some countries are looking for some degree of flexibility as well. Now, the thing won't work at all if everybody has their own system, because what we're looking at is banking union, where everybody plays by common rules. But I can see scope for some degree of flexibility, as long as the degree of flexibility is stated at the start and nobody has any doubt about what degree of flexibility is being operated in one country rather than another, because we have to have certainty. Otherwise, if you had looser rules in one country rather than another, well then the single market gets under pressure at that stage. So everything has to be transparent and absolutely clear. So in that context, I think we'll make progress, yes.
Do you anticipate that if a single resolution mechanism or authority is set up at the end of the day, that will require treaty change, and that's something that would trigger a referendum in Ireland?
No, it doesn't. We have the legal advice from the European authorities that we can do all the things that we have laid out to do within the present treaty. I know there are issues in Germany, but it's at the very end of a long process. And if Jack Show's position correctly, his concerns are more to do with the position of the European Constitutional Court than the European legal framework. No, sorry, the German Constitutional Court.
Do you agree with him in his timing?
I'm not a legal person. I just met the legal people going home from the Department of Justice a couple of years ago.
On the issue of tax fraud and tax avoidance, the Commission have figures that show that Ireland is being defrauded or is missing out on some 50% of that. Have you been looking at this?
I haven't seen the figures you refer to, but the VAT fraud folio is not on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. What's on for tomorrow is giving a mandate to the negotiators to deal with the tax evasion and the tax avoidance in those 5 countries in Europe that are outside the Union. And I think we'll be successful in getting that mandate tomorrow afternoon.
Do you expect there to be any progress today on the issue of direct recapitalisation for banks and the whole retroactivity question?
Well, there'll be progress in the sense that it'll be discussed, but there won't be any conclusion. It's a discussion, as you know, which has been spread over a number of Eurogroup meetings, and it's to provide guidance to a committee who are drafting a paper on guidelines on it. So it'll be another round of that, and it will advance to the extent that there'll be a clear political views expressed from the perspective of different sovereigns, but there'll be no conclusions. You happy enough?
Just one more question, Minister. This is slightly unrelated to today or tomorrow, but do you think Ireland might avail of OMTs when we are heading back into the market at the end of the bailout?
It's something that we'll consider, certainly. OMT, of course, while it has been put out there by the European Central Bank, it hasn't been used, but it's had a major effect on bond spreads across Europe. And the way we are now in the market, it seems to me that if we had one more sale of Irish paper, we'd be eligible for OMT. So we'll see. We haven't decided in government yet whether we'll apply or not. But it's something that seems to be a mechanism that's working very well, and it might be something that we would want to avail of coming out of the bailout.
And would you availing of it depend on what conditions the ECB would want to impose?
No, we're looking at the level of principle at the moment, whether it would be useful or not.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.